This wonderful Horse Talk TV story is proudly brought to you by Australian Working Equitation Incorporated. Whether it was carrying a knight full tilt into a joust or a cavalry horse taught to kick enemy soldiers on command, military needs played a significant part in horse training. Dressage as a sport began as an extension of this training, but as the horse became less relevant in the battlefield, modern dressage has changed considerably and bears little resemblance to the practical application of its origins. Lightness and functional use of dressage training is being lost due to the pressure of international competition and the lack of use of the dressage horse outside of a 20x60 arena. Stock and dressage horses may seem to be at the opposite ends of the spectrum, but in fact the common factor in all good working stock horses is balance, collection, lightness and self-carriage, the same that's found in a good dressage horse. So, what if you love dressage but you have a hankering to be a cowboy or a cowgirl? There's an exciting new horse sport taking off in Australia. Working Equitation combines a range of activities including dressage and obstacle courses. In all stages, from training to competition, there's an emphasis on balance and harmony between the horse and rider. Horse Talk TV decided to take a closer look at this fascinating sport that's taking Australia by storm. We speak with Gill Kennerly, the founder of Working Equitation Australia, and Michael Black, president of Australian Working Equitation Incorporated. And we catch up with visiting Portuguese instructor Pedro Neves, as well as some of the riders at his clinics here in Australia. I caught up with Gill Kennerly, the founder of Working Equitation in Australia. Gill is a classical international dressage trainer, and she established Working Equitation in Australia after moving here from England in 2007. Since then, Gill has promoted the sport and has introduced many riders to Working Equitation. Gill, how is it similar to and how is it different from dressage?
Well, it's not really different from dressage because I call it a fun way to train seriously, but without the horse being dressage trained, it will never succeed in doing working equitation with the obstacles.
Do you see this as being something that would benefit someone whose perhaps their main passion is dressage, or perhaps they want to go on and do sporting? Where would it fit in training and in discipline?
Well, I do know a lot of top dressage riders are now starting to appreciate how good it is for the horses and what fun it is, because a lot of people with dressage, they lose the fun out of it.
Make the change to Conky's Own, the most innovative Australian-made and owned range of supplements, affordable and up-to-date formulations developed by Dr. John Conky, available Australia-wide from produce stores and saddleries.
Pedro Neves from Portugal is one of the leading instructors and competitors in the sport. He also instructs in classical Portuguese dressage and in handwork, designed to improve the balance and harmony between horse and rider. We were lucky enough to catch up with Pedro when he visited Australia for a Working Equitation clinic. Pedro, welcome to Australia. What brings you here?
I think horses is the right reply.
I'd love to understand the history of working equitation. Pedro, how did it evolve as a sport?
Working equitation is the kind of riding we do on the countryside, on the fields, working with the cows, became a sport.
Pedro, how is a working equitation competition ridden? Can you tell me about the different phases?
Well, basically you have a dressage test. Then you have a style test, a speed test, and then the cows.
Pedro, with the dressage, I notice one difference is there's no trot and it's ridden in one hand at the higher levels. Can you explain why?
Because, and let's think about in the countryside and all the work you do on the countryside, trot doesn't make sense, or maybe is about the things you have to do. Walk or canter is much better, is much more effective, better for the horses and better for us. So this is the reason why the height level you just use walk and canter.
And why one hand?
And why one hand? Because you need the other hand always to have the garrocha. Is something to help you.
Tell me about the other
reason why.
phases. So there's the dressage phase. What are the other phases?
Yes, the other phase is the style one. Let's talk about obstacles already. But for example, the double slalom, you can imagine could be trees, and you have to go in canter around the trees. Then you have a gate, a normal gate. You find that you find that easy on working on the fields. You have to cross a river. You have to jump. Then you have the part with the garrocha. You have to work you have to separate the bulls ones from the others. So all the obstacles you can imagine a story on the field.
Pedro, what are you teaching in your clinics here in Australia?
Well, mainly the basis because we have always beginnings. So are the basics and all the dressage basics, and then let's approach the horse on the obstacles and all the exercises which we trained on the flat work on the obstacles. So basic is this.
For beginners, Pedro, of course, it's very advanced doing a lot of this work at the canter. So is it ridden at a walk or at a trot when you're teaching people, and can they compete at those lower levels?
Okay, start always in walk, and the right sequence of course is do it in walk, trot and in canter. Then after that, of course, marks, the best ones will come in canter. But everybody can do it, everybody can enjoy.
Have you seen any riders in your clinics that you think would be up to international standard, either now or with a little bit more training?
A little bit more training, of course, like everybody, like me. We have to train every day. But I saw a few nice riders, and horses have to be always the combination between horse and rider. Yes or not?
So will we see Cobras, Dryserbones, the
Kangaroos.
Stockmen out there with our national dress?
I hope so. Yeah. Yes, is one more flag. It's very nice.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much for talking to us, Pedro.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
When he's trapped, the quiet horse you love so much could kill you. The Equine Emergency Rescue book is a must-have for every horse owner and shows you and rescuers how to stay safe during a rescue and how to avoid strangling, drowning or dropping a trapped horse. Available from equineer.com and HorseTalkTV.com.au. Gill, what type of horse can do working equitation?
Any horse can do working equitation, but I mean a stock horse, I have seen a stock horse, and Pedro rode a stock horse today, and I was delighted because this is their horse, and the more the stock horse people realise, and they will actually be training their horses in a much better way.
Gill, how do people go about getting involved in working equitation in their local area?
Well, there are websites. All the accredited trainers now are trainers, as I've said, in their own right. They are having clubs. There's going to be clubs all over Australia, and eventually I hope that everybody will go to these different groups and start competitions, so then we can become affiliated with EFA and become an accepted discipline in this country.
Gill, what do you see as the future of working equitation in Australia, and where do you think we'll be on the international scene?
All the clubs that are in motion now with the accredited trainers, which are quite a lot now throughout Australia, probably 10 or 11, they will be forming clubs. And even other people who want to do it and not qualified trainers, they all are forming clubs. So eventually we'll get the competitions going, and I can see then we can start to get teams, and eventually I would think we can send a team to Portugal and they can ride the Portuguese horses, and then Australia will be into working equitation.
Because you're a dressage teacher and you've obviously ridden internationally, you've ridden and trained here, do you think we have the standard of riding as far as what's appropriate to working equitation that we can really actually give them a run for their money?
I do, yes, definitely, yes. And so does Pedro. He does. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I'm really excited, and I'm so looking forward to some of these people representing us in the future.
Yeah. Thank you, Katie.
Michael Black is an approved working equitation instructor and hosted Pedro's clinic on the central coast of New South Wales. Michael now instructs and helps organise clinics across New South Wales and Australia. Mick, how did you get involved with working equitation, and tell me about this big beautiful boy?
Okay, well this is Matthias, and I was offered Matthias as a free to a good home horse. From that I was then looking for something to do because I couldn't show him unless I proved the bloodline, and that led me to discovering working equitation just through being given a flyer one day, and then from there we've developed our own Central Coast community of working equitation enthusiasts, we've started our own club, and we're going quite successfully at this point.
What do you enjoy about the sport?
To me, it's overcoming each individual challenge between the horse and the rider.
Well, Mick, thanks so much for talking to me and having HorseTalkTV here at the clinic, and I can't wait to see Matthias and you out there absolutely showing us how it's done.
Well, I'd like to be showing you how it's done too, but I think we've all got lots of work to do. Pedro certainly highlighted that, but we're looking forward to increased interest in competitions, and the future is looking good for working equitation.
Pedro's clinic attracted a wide variety of riders and horses. I thought it would be interesting to speak to one of the riders to find out what they thought they'd gained from coming to Pedro's clinic. Tell me a bit about yourself and what you've gained from the clinic. And I understand that you're in the Group 1 riders, people who are sort of starting out with this?
Yes. Look, it's been wonderful because we've had a completely different perspective with Pedro, and he got on my horse as well and sort of teaching me to do it, and that was wonderful to see that, because working equitation was something that was introduced to me as a lot of fun, something that anybody can do, any age, doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter whether you're good or a bad rider, you will learn with this, and it's dressage basically, but it's also fun because you can have a go at the obstacles, and this is what appealed to me because I'm not really a dressage person. I find it quite hard, but the obstacles make it a heap of fun for me, so it's a bit of both.
You can stand on the sidelines and enjoy watching this sport, but nothing beats getting out there and having a go. After seeing how much fun the riders were having, I decided I couldn't pass up the opportunity to try my hand at working equitation. Finally, a sport where you can be a dressage superstar and a cowboy all rolled into one. Working equitation makes dressage fun and functional. I really look forward to seeing some of these riders representing Australia internationally in our first working equitation team in the near future. I'm Katie Hickson, and this is just one of the many horse stories happening all over Australia every weekend.